Welcome to Battymate's channel. The top 5 things you'll need to know if you're new to Dark Souls. The top 5 things that new players will need to know to play Dark Souls. My list will start from least important to most important. So without further more to do, let's get into the list starting at 5. Blocking. Blocking is a skill that is not the most important thing to use in Dark Souls games, but it can be very important for strength builds later in the game though. Early on in the game, you'll most likely want to dodge an attack rather than block one. Because blocking an attack has its disadvantages. Over rolling out of the way, for instance, blocking can waste a lot of stamina if your poise is too low. You'll get knocked back and front stabbed, which will end badly. So I'll recommend rolling out of the way. It uses a small amount of stamina, plus after rolling you can attack. Number 4, we have items. Items such as throwing knives or daggers can come in handy. Fire bombs are one of the most effective weapons in the early part of the game. This is your tool belt. It'll allow you to quick select your items when you're in the heat of the battle. Fire bombs are extremely effective in the early parts of the game. Dung will poison enemies, killing them slowly over time. It's effective against hard enemies that you don't want to fight one-on-one. Number 3, stats. When starting Dark Souls, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the amount of different stats. What do they do and what ones do I need for my build? Skill stats are important. Let's say you want to use a weapon like a club, for example. It requires 12 strength and nothing else. What else should you put your stats into? Vigor is one stat that'll help you survive. It is the health stat. You will definitely want to put some points into that one so you don't get one shot every time you fight an enemy. I would also put stats into something that will allow me to use ranged attacks like a bow or a magic spell, because in some parts of the games there will be a guy shooting at you. In a place you can't just run up to them and slap them with your hammer or close ranged weapon. Number 2, health and magic pots. Health and magic pots are going to be the number 1 used item for any new Dark Souls player. Make sure they are always on your quick select bar. This is your quick select bar. If you're on Xbox, to use the bottom one it's X, and if you're on PlayStation it's square. The gold pot is the one that will heal you. The blue pot will give you back your mana for spells. This is your quick select tool belt. Make sure anything you want access to fast is in here. Something to be careful with is if you put too many items in your tool belt, it will take longer to cycle through. So if you're going to use throwing items or something in a boss fight and your tool belt is full, you'll have to cycle through 9 items to get back to your pots. As you can see here, I now have to go through all the items I added to do a full rotation back to pots. You won't want to do this in a boss fight. Number 1, keeping positive. Keeping positive is hard to do in Dark Souls, especially when you're first starting out. You could just walk off a cliff and die right at the start of the game. Now you're going to die and die again unless you're insanely good. Try not to rage quit and give the game a good go. Yes, it's harder first, but it becomes easy once you know the enemy's moves. Thus keep positive. You can do it even if it takes you 50 tries to beat the first area of the game. Hopefully this video has helped you guys.
To watch more, press subscribe. It's free.
Like and hit the bell icon if you want the latest videos.
Follow me at Battymate on Facebook. Thanks for watching.